Good morning, Mob family. Hello and welcome to our Mob Kaffeeklatsch episode 87. Wow, 87 of these things. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know if anyone heard the new theme music. Can you check the comments? Check in the comments. Hello everyone. How are you? Facebook user, I don't know who you are, but good morning, all mobsters. Yes, for sure. Let's see. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Jim. Chris Mendoza, we are live. Good morning, Facebook user. Good morning, Dominic. How are you? Oh, good. You were able to hear it. Excellent. I can add it to the StreamYard, which is awesome. So we could use it as our theme music. It's fantastic. All right, let me put the link up. Thank you, Chris. I do appreciate it. Putting up the link. Please go to this link. Not that one, no. That's just saying someone saying hello. And again, once it goes the comments are moving fast. So, hello, Jules. Good morning. Way early good morning, Jeanette. How are you? So if you haven't yet, please go to this link and give StreamYard permission to show your name. So you go there to that link, you let them show your name, and you don't show up as a Facebook user, because if you don't do that, then I just know you as Facebook user. And other than that, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, going to the link, when you put a post, just put your name there, like, hey, it's hello, it's Orlando, and I think such and such, such and such. Hope everyone's doing well today. So in New York currently, right now, let me put my phone on silent real quick, because that's when we'll do something. It is currently in February, in the middle of February. Well, what was it? 57 degrees. It's insane. It's insane. So, this is like the warmest February I've felt in a long time in New York City. Hello, Paige. Hope you're not going too crazy with the wiki with Jeanette and all that info, because I know it's a lot. 20 degrees. Yeah, you can keep that, Chris. I'll take the 57. And no. Tell Des I said hello, Desmond. He should be sleeping is what he should be doing. So, hope you're all doing well. Let's see. We got a few. Let's give a few more minutes. And then we'll see. Oh, you can't. Oh, you don't have to. That's fine, Rebecca. At least I know who you are. Rebecca, hello. Thank you for joining us from work. That's awesome. Don't get in trouble at work, okay? So if you have to go suddenly, I understand. Benna, I just saw you. Hello, Benna. Welcome. He should be sleeping. Yes. 12 degrees Celsius in Ireland sounds cold in any Celsius or Fahrenheit. That sounds cold. Pass, Federica. Pass. It's just too cold. I'm liking 57. I can actually go out with a t-shirt and be good. So 57 works for Feb for me. Jim wants to thank everyone who expressed an opinion on Monty being adopted. Yeah, it's not going to happen, Jim. I'm sorry. We have a few cats within the M&S World. LD and TK kind of have a cat. If you know who it is, you know who it is. And Ink is another cat, but it's like a shape-shifting cat. So, but we don't have many cats in the Mountain Strong world. No. Are we not safe for work? We're usually safe for work. So we, as you notice, we keep the cursing to 0. And if you look at any of these videos, we don't really get into NSFW topics, unless we're talking about a topic that we can touch upon without it being too bad. Yeah, 80 degrees in St. Augustine. That is nice. It's a little too warm for me right now, but I'll take the 57. I believe that, Federica. Hugging the heater. We always have great heat here, but 12 degrees Celsius is cold by any stretch of the imagination. I believe that too, Chris. Good morning, Linda. Having your feet on a heating pad. Yeah, definitely. I've always told Donna, if you can keep your feet warm, the rest of your body thanks you, and you can stay warm more or less. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna take this link off. If you can't, if your name isn't coming up, I'll find it again and put it up again. But for now, I'm gonna take it off. Let's see. Hide the current comment. 62 is nice. 62 is actually, if I could live somewhere where it was 70 degrees year round, with very little fluctuation, that would be ideal. That would be perfect. 70, maybe 75 would be perfect. New York swings back and forth. It goes to, although this year it's been one of the warmest winters we've had in like a long time. So I'm good with that. All right, let's go through our shout out to our announcements real quick. So I want to shout out everyone on YouTube. Hello, YouTube world. Shout out to everyone on YouTube. Thank you for visiting us and being here with us. I know not everyone can get on Facebook, so thank you. On Instagram, so I posted on Instagram, I think today or yesterday. It was yesterday. So to follow us on Instagram, just go to @BittenPeaches, and you can follow us on Instagram. Same thing for YouTube. You can follow us, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on YouTube. Just Bitten Peaches Publishing, StoryTeller episodes. You'll see it. So if you're already following us on YouTube, tell someone, share the news. Same thing on Instagram. We don't have that. We have like 400 followers, which is awesome on Instagram. So let's get that number up. And same thing, we're @BittenPeaches. Follow us on Instagram. I try to put up excerpts from the stories and from the books. Interesting things that characters might say. And tell a friend or send them the link. Hey, you should follow this page because it's pretty awesome, which I think is pretty awesome. On Zazzle, so Instagram @BittenPeaches, YouTube @BittenPeaches Publishing. That's where we at. On Zazzle, go to M&S, EMANDES, and get your swag. Dolly's working on some. She's gonna be working on some great ideas. She's been really busy now because the kids have like a lot of school stuff going on. So she's been doing like really focusing on that. But once that kind of eases up a bit, she's gonna start doing some new designs. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's gonna be. But go to Zazzle.com, look up M&S, EMANTS. I should know it by now. I've said it so many times. And get your Monty and Strong swag. Yeah, I'm gonna put a lot more covers up, Jeanette. On Instagram. The thing about the covers is that then when I put up the covers, people are like, where's the book that goes with this cover? And some of the covers I have are like 10 covers ahead, 10 books ahead, 15 books ahead. So I don't want to put them up and then people are like, oh, there's no book to this cover, even though the artwork is amazing, you know? Oh, look, there's a okay, so Paige is putting out there's a wiki. Let me put the link up because we currently have a wiki happening with Paige and Jeanette, and this is the link. So go to this link. This Montague_and_strong_case_files @wiki_@wiki, and it's I'm sure it's a work in progress. I haven't seen it yet. I saw the initial kind of framework, but I'm sure it's coming along. So you know, I'll take a look at it after the episode, after the show for sure. Thank you, Paige. I'll leave this up for a little while so people can kind of copy and then go there and visit. Please visit. Please let Paige and Jeanette know how it's going, and you know, maybe if you want to get some input, Paige, you can kind of ask the MoB, and they can go there. So because we have a small sample here of 20 people, but the MoB, you got a much bigger group. Yeah, Jeanette, I love all the stuff I've gotten from Zazzle. This shirt, I don't even know if you can get the shirt. It might be on Zazzle. I'm going to take this down for a moment, hide it. So this shirt is a Peaches Looking at the Moon shirt. I don't know if it's on Zazzle, but that's where I got this one. Hey, Malcolm, welcome. Thank you for coming. All right, let me continue. I don't know if we have any new patrons. I'll ask Dolly. I'm flying solo today. Dolly's out doing some stuff with, I think she's seeing one of the Warriors deans. It's more school stuff. So she's doing that. So she's way out in Brooklyn right now. So she's in the midst of that. And but I believe we have more patrons. And so I'm going to say thank you to all the current patrons and welcome to all the new patrons. Thank you so much. There's a new story coming for Patreon that will be out the end of March because it's every 3 months. So at the end of March, it's called The Circle. I already have it kind of pretty much done because they're short stories. I mean, these are like micro Compared to my stories, these are micro short stories, but they're really fun. They're really interesting. And this one is going to have an interesting twist. So if you're not a patron, you can definitely join our Patreon. The link is in the MoB. And if you have a question, you could private message Dolly or anyone else who knows about the Patreon. I'm not going to put it up here because then I have to go do a whole bunch of different things all at once. But the link is up in the MoB in the pinned link. So if you're not a patron yet, please become one. Support us even more, and let other people know that you can get very individual, special stories for patrons, which is a fantastic thing. The e-newsletter will be out. Let me look at the calendar. Today is the 9th, so 10th. Today's the 10th. About a week or so. I'm trying not to do too much because that newsletter is going to be full of stuff of what's coming up, which we'll discuss in a moment. So that's where the newsletter will be. BookBub and Binge Books. Go to both. Follow us. Find us there. You can find me there. I'm on both locations, BookBub, Binge Books. Just look them up. Follow. Join us. Leave some social proof, like a review of a book that you read. And I know a lot of you have already done that. I really do appreciate it. Let's get more people to do it and then just grow the groups, which would be awesome. So how are you guys doing? We'll do the other book and audio updates soon. So I know some people want to know about audiobooks, some people want to know about the books I'm working on. So how are you all today? It's a beautiful February Friday. And I'm currently working on, I'm currently working on 3 projects at once. I don't recommend it. I've done 2 at once, but the 2 that I've done in the past has been a novel and a short story. And I usually do that in conjunction, or I do like one right after the other. I'm currently doing 3 novels all at once. So it's been interesting. Oh, Renee, yeah, this is not actually my mug, even though it's interchangeable. This is Dolly's mug. It's the original Black Widow mug. This is what it says on this side. I don't know if you can see it. I can take care of myself. Thank you. So that's the original artwork for Black Widow in the comics. And then my mug, which she's using for sacrilege tea, which is what she drinks, is this one. These were both gifts. That's the original Iron Man, the gray Iron Man, gray and yellow. Back, we're talking about some of the first episodes of the comic. That's what the color of it, before he was red and yellow. So we switched the mugs. Hello, Facebook user. Welcome. So I'm working on, and if you have questions, feel free to ask. I mean, we actually have the question part of the show. But I'm working on Lost Rooms, Nocturne Melody, and A Rose in a Cauldron of Thorns. I'm trying to make sure I get that right. But before we get into that, let's hit the author promotion spot. So let's promote our new authors, and I'm gonna put this up now for a moment so that whoever's coming in, like our Facebook user person who we don't know the name, can go to this link and let Facebook allow your name in StreamYard, so we don't have to keep addressing you as Facebook user. And hello, by the way. All right, Chris, let's do it. We got Ben Zackheim's up first. Here we go. Ben Zackheim. He has a pre-order, so please go here. I don't know what the pre-order is, but if Ben wrote it, it's got to be good. He's one of our indie authors. He's actually in the MoB as well. So here's the link. Go get your pre-order from Ben. He's a great writer, good friend. This is what we do. We promote our indie authors. After Ben, we have Bill the Vampire, Rick Gualtieri. So he has a book up. I'm guessing this is a book. Let's see real quick. Hello, Tina. Welcome. So Rick has something coming up. Ben has said, the Dual World. Yes, so the Dual World is A group of authors got together to write in a commonly shared world. So that pre-order from Ben is set in that world, and you got a bunch of great authors who got together to write in a shared world, which is fantastic. Let's see. And this is Rick Gualtieri's, I guess, new book. Let me see. Let me check real quick. I can check the link. Okay, I'm not gonna check the link because then I gotta get off the page and it's a whole thing. So, but we know Rick from Bill the Vampire. He's got a few other things a few other series that are awesome. He's a great guy, great author, great stories. So go check out Rick Gualtieri's. This is his new book, or the book that he's promoting. So go there. Let's see. We also have, and to answer Kathy's question, yes, you don't have to get prompted once it remembers your name. So you don't have to do it once. Next up in our indie author showcase is Stephanie Fox and Alex Steele for the Chaos Mages series. This is the Audible box set. So go get this. Is book 1 through 3 Audible. Grab it, guys. These great people, great authors, they're a couple together. I met them at 20 Books, 50K. They write great stories. So go get yourself the Chaos Mages. I hear great things about it. I haven't had a chance to read it. I own it. Just haven't had a chance to read it. So, so I'm going to address that in a moment, Jeanette. All right. So, so next we have Kristen Benz, Elot. She has, let me show it, please. Okay. She has a Kindle Vella. So Vella is short for novella. So these are short stories. In many cases, they're episodic or serial stories. And so she has Goddess Tenumbra on Kindle Vella. So this is the link. It's up there. Go grab it. Let's support our indie writers. I haven't really got into Vella because I'm busy doing other stuff, but I hear interesting things about it. I'm going to wait a while until the technology kind of catches up and gets settled, because I know with new methods of getting stories out, it takes a while for these things to settle. Usually I'm an early adopter, but this time I'm going to wait a bit to see how it kind of shakes out, you know? I was considering Wattpad a while back, but again, I've been busy just doing the thing that I'm doing, and it's spread out in a lot of places. So, but this is Kirsten Benz has a story on Vella. So this is the link. Go get it, guys. Let's see, who else do we have? Nasri. So Nasri Noor has the Darkly Mage books. Nasri's writing like crazy. He's writing so many stories. Every time I turn around, there's a new ad for one of his stories or a new ad for an audio book. So go get the Nasri. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, these are MM books, but don't quote me on that, but I believe they are. So if that's not your thing, you know, there's other authors you can pick. But he's been very prolific. He's writing a lot, and he's writing, from what I understand, great stories. So go that way. Just go get Nasri's book, Blood Pack. This one is up to book 7, but I think he has a few series that he has that are quite far. Let's see who we got. Steve. Oh, Wendy says, good morning. Hi, Wendy. Steve McHugh has the Kindle edition of what? This is a long link. But I know Steve has been doing The Last Raven, the Riftborn series. I think he's got a new one in the Riftborn series. So, and Steve is the author of the Hellqueen Chronicles. So, and the Amazon stories. So he's been writing quite a bit, but he's really well known for his Nate, and this is the other Nate and the Hellqueen Chronicles, Hellqueen stories that he's written. So those are a lot of fun. Let's see. Hello, Wendy. Good morning. That's it for today. Thanks, Chris. I truly appreciate it. That's awesome. You can check the links. Let's put the links up in the mob after the show, or like in the post of the show, so that way they're all in one place, like we did last show. I'm gonna hide this. Wendy says Eric, and Eric is actually a very good friend. He's a great author. He says he will have another book in the Vesic series called Garden Gnome Graveyard. Oh, so in April. So as we get closer to April, I'll have him give us a link. So, but Eric is a great author. His Vesic series is very well known. He's a fantastic author. He's a good friend. And so make sure you pick that up. I'm not sure. I always promote JL, John Logsdon. I don't think he has anything in the grave right now, but just go get the series. And you know, John is a great author. So just go get this everything that he's written. Let's see. Nasri is writing like crazy. Yeah, Nasri's been writing like crazy since I met him when he started his first book. We're going back a few years now. He's been writing like crazy. Let's see. Darkling Mage is straight urban fantasy. Fantastic. So now we know what it is. Let's see. His flowers is MM and very good. Okay, so yes, I don't know which of Nasri's are MM and straight UF, but I know he has both. Let's see. Thank you for Chris. Thanks for posting out the links after the show. That'd be awesome. Benna tells us that latest grade comes out March 1st. So guys, if I know John, it'll be out for pre-order soon if it's not already. So get the pre-order because it helps bolster the sales, right? And you know his stories are awesome. I think he's going to do something with Mitzi in this one, something that the readers have been asking for. I don't know the details. Don't ask me. I'm just seeing what's been put up in the dysfunctional family. But I know that the series is doing well, and he's having a blast writing it. And I know you guys are enjoying it. Those who've been reading it. Again, I own them. I support my indie authors because yes, I believe really strongly in that. Making the time to read them is a whole different story. But I make sure I get every single one. So my to be read list just expands and expands and expands. Oh, thank you for dropping in, Laura. Hello, Laura. Hope physical therapy went well. Let's see. Yes, hello, Tina, and welcome. Now that we know your name, we can see who you are. That's awesome. So let's see. So writing 3 books at once. So I kept hearing about Asimov having multiple typewriters and having stories at different points, and how he would go from one story to the next story. And I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a try with the next projects that I have. I'm going to see if I can do them all simultaneously. I don't recommend it for beginning authors to try that one. It's tough. It's really tough. Wendy, thank you for the link. Let me just put it up real quick. This is a link for Eric Asher for his Vesic book series. So make it a point to go get that, or put it down somewhere. Go to Amazon and kind of add it to, because if it's coming out in April, just follow him. And if you follow the author, Amazon will give you a alert when the next book comes out, so you won't miss the next book that's coming out. So please go to that. Please go there. That's his web page, so his website. You can go there, or you can go on Amazon and see. Just follow him as an author, and you'll get a notification. Yeah, I've done the same thing, Jeanette. I've I'll pick up books, especially if it's authors I know. I'll pick it up sight unseen. Like I'll pick it up without knowing what the story is like, but I'll pick it up just to support the author, and I can get around to kind of reading the books, the stories, because I know they're really good, and I know many of these authors I know personally. Like every author that I've mentioned, I think I've met, except for maybe Eric. I think I met Eric at 20 Books, but I've met most of them, and I know all of them personally. Yeah, the Riftborn series is really good from what I hear, Chris. I own it already. It's like 2 books. It's 1 book in. I know The Last Raven's already done, and there's a new one that I think has just come out. So, yeah. Sounds like some chess tournaments. High-end player moves from board to board. Yes, that's basically what I'm doing with the 3 projects that I'm doing, and it's been challenging, but it's been interesting. I kind of wanted to stretch the writing muscles, I guess. So the way I structure it, and I guess this could help. I'm going to remove the link for now. This could help any writer who, after a while, you get. I guess you can get comfortable with writing many words in a day, and if you could do a few hundred words, I guess, or a few thousand words, depending on where you are in your writing. You could do this if you know how to compartmentalize. Like you could separate each story into its own kind of story box or story room. Now, I know I've mentioned it before, the whole mind palace concept, right? This is basically walking into each room of the palace or the mansion and addressing what's happening in that room at that time. So I'll start the day with like lost runes, and I've spread it out so far That book will be out in March. Actually, it's not that far because it's going to be in March. I'll write Lost Runes because it's the easiest of the three for me right now, right? I'll write Lost Runes. It's almost autopilot the way I write it, and the stories just flow. Then, so I'll hit the word quota for that, and I have word quotas for all the projects, so my brain doesn't explode. And sometimes I'll stop. I'll hit the word quota, and I want to keep going because that's how my books become feral. But I want to keep going, but I force myself to stop so I can get to the next project. So I'll do Lost Runes, then I'll jump into Nocturne Melody. And I've been giving Dolly pages of Nocturne Melody, which is the next Night Warden story. And she goes, "That's so dark." It's like, yeah, Night Warden and Monty and Strong, although they're set in the same world, way different perspectives. It's crazy. Let's see. Let me answer a question before I get to the third part. Let's see. Yes, Chris, it's very much like Star. I tried 3D chess once. It's something else. It's really fascinating to quote like Spock. I found the M&S series because I was hunting for Whisper Sing books narrated for Kevin Collins. Yes, Kevin's an amazing narrator. So to answer your question, the next book, Stormblood, which is the next book in the audio list, is coming out this month. We had a few delays, some back and forth. If you don't know, because mostly writers know this, there's some issues with audio and how they're treating authors, so we're kind of pausing a bit on the audiobooks. We might be looking at alternatives, we don't know yet. So Stormblood is going to be the most current book, then we're going to wait about to see how we're going to do we have Revenant, Blood Lessons, Broken Magic, and now Lost Runes to do. So there are a lot of books to do. So yeah, it'll be tough. It's going to be hard to get audiobooks right now because we're trying to address the whole issue with how Amazon is treating the audiobooks and the authors. They can change the price whenever they want to. They don't have to notify authors. It's a whole thing. You can look into it. Brandon Sanderson has really been championing authors in that regard. But again, it's something that requires a lot of authors to get behind. And there's another issue that when we get to the questions, we'll discuss as well. So I'll do Lost Runes, then I'll do Night Warden, because Night Warden is kind of a step into a much grimmer, darker headspace, I guess I want to say, right? It's like stepping. So you go into Lost Runes, the room is kind of sunny, might be a little dangerous, but it's fun. The banter, it's light. There's a lot of, there's some danger, but it's fun. Then I get into the Night Warden room. I could probably have to go into the basement to the Night Warden room. There's critters and cobwebs and darkness, and there's no light switches. I got to bring a flashlight, and there's creaky noises, and that would be the Night Warden room in the mine mansion. And I got to go in there, and the door gets stuck. I got to really push to get in, and then when I push, things skitter away. That would be the space for Night Warden. It's dark. It's a dark place. It's interesting. And then I do A Rose and a Court of Thorns, which completely, how can I put A Rose and a Court of Thorns? It's not urban fantasy. I mean, it's not romance. It's urban fantasy sprinkled with romance. It still hasn't gotten to the heavy romance part. I've been hinting at it, and with heavy cringes, I've been hinting at the romance. And every time I write those parts, I just go, oh, okay. And Dolly laughs because she reads those parts. She goes, yeah, that's basically what you got to do. You want to write this. And so I've decided that it's going to be clean romance. I don't want to get into erotica. I don't want to get into stuff. Plus, my kids will probably end up reading these stories. And the last thing I want to do is try to have a conversation about what's going on in that book. That one is a real stretch. That one is like more than when I did sci-fi, more than when I did straight thriller, including the romance. In something I never said. I said I would never do. I'm never going to write romance. I remember distinctly saying this. But including the romance into the urban fantasy and kind of walking that delicate balance between the two, it's actually really challenging. And so trying to make it interesting enough as an urban fantasy, but also trying to kind of introduce or inject the romance component into it, it's a tightrope. But it's fun, but it's the one that I leave for the end of the day because it's the one I have to write the least in terms of word quota. And by that time, I'm so kind of night wardened out because I've gone into that dark area that it's night. It's like a breath of fresh air to go into this area and kind of have it light again. So that's basically the day structure of the writing: Lost Runes, Nocturne Melody, which is Night Warden, and then Rose in a Cauldron of Thorns, or Apricot as I call it. But I don't recommend as an author that you do that unless you're comfortable going from story to story to story. Like Jim was saying, it's like a chess tournament. You're doing several games all at once. You got to keep all the games straight in your head, and you got to know what the moves are going to be and what moves are coming. It's a lot to keep track of at the same time. All right, let me read. Jeanette, I growl the same thing with what's happening with Audible, and we'll see. There are a lot of people who are trying to take, I don't want to say take Amazon to task, but they're trying to address this issue with Amazon. But Amazon is so large, it's hard. You need a real presence to be able to get their attention. From my understanding, 20 Books to 50K, Craig Martell and Michael Anderle, they're going to be speaking directly with Amazon people regarding some of the practices with the authors. So we'll see, we'll see what happens, what comes out of that. It's like they're actually having a meeting, so we'll see what happens with that. Thank you, Benna. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Chris, for making the post at the end of the show. That'd be awesome because people want to get. I want to make sure that we can support our indie authors, so that's really important. Wendy, I understand if you're scattered, go do what you got to do. Thank you for dropping in, saying hello, and saying goodbye at the same time. Aloha. Let's see. Rose is about growing as an author, looking for it's real growth. So when I write the books, I don't know if they're gonna do well or not. Like really, this is why every time I write a story, whether it's Monty Storm or anything else, I am truly amazed that it does well because I don't know if it's gonna do well. You guys could read and go, "Oh my God, this is horrible. Why would you write this? What are you doing?" Or you could be like, "Oh, this is great. We need more of this story." I don't know what's gonna happen. With Rose, I truly don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like, guys, if it works, we'll write more. If it doesn't work, well, it's one story, No bodice ripping. No, there's not gonna be any bodice ripping. It's clean romance or fade to black. Yeah, that's basically the way I'm gonna go with it. Because what happens is what I've seen and what I've read, I've been doing the homework. Sometimes when you get so caught up into the erotica, the sex part or whatever, you lose the story, and for me the story is more important than all the other stuff. Having the story progress and advance, and I've seen authors who get so caught up in the romance that the story doesn't advance. So I'm trying not to fall into that, Right? Yeah. See, that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Purple prose. I've never really written with purple prose. Romance lends itself to purple prose. I'm trying to stay away from that. And J.D. Robb, which is Nora Roberts, if you didn't know, the purple prose does. You have to. I mean, she has a great following, so everybody's going to read what her following. Her readers are going to read whatever she puts out. That's not the issue. But after a while, the purple prose does get to you after a while. If we have more serious, we really. Oh yes, Sidrat's gonna step in at some point. I don't know if I'm hoping this year because I really want to do the designers, and also because Sid ties so many different timelines together, and it's good to have that hub. But I'm already in the process out of Lost Runes of creating another series because of characters that show up in the Lost Runes. So this is a disease. I'm afflicted with a series disease. So Tina says, on the romance, try emphasizing the relationship between the characters and what they enjoy about each other. Try reading R.J. Blaine. Okay, I'll read that. I was reading Sarah Maas, but I didn't want to get so close to what she was writing, although she writes really well. But it's romance, and I'm like, so Sarah Maas is more romance with urban fantasy, and I want to do more urban fantasy with some romance. So it's kind of the inverse of what she's doing. So I can't read it too much because it's not exactly what I'm going to do. And it's on one level, I kind of feel like I'm jumping into like a new territory. At least it's new for me. But my reading experience with romance isn't that broad. But I know the paranormal romance genre is enormous. So I don't know if there's any other author. I'll try RJ because I've heard good things about her. I think I'm a friend of her on Facebook. I'll try RJ and I'll try other clean romance to see if I could kind of get into the feel of what the story feels like. Yeah, Jim. I mean, I collaborated with Logston. It could get graphic, but Logston's humor. John has some very interesting humor, but he's very detailed as a writer. But again, that's his style. That's what he does, and he does it really well. So we collaborated on the Badlands PPD, and that was a lot of fun. Like, it was another chance for me to kind of branch out and do something that I wouldn't normally do. And if you're going to, as an author, and this is for the authors, if you're going to collaborate, make sure someone that you get along with, because John and I, we spent all our collaborating moments, everyone thinking is just cracking up and laughing, and we barely got any real writing done. I mean, we'd go off and write, but anytime we got together, we just spent the time laughing and throwing out ideas and brainstorming and laughing most of the time. And you have to have that kind of connection if you're going to collaborate with someone, because you got to spend a lot of time with that person, and you got to hammer out ideas so that there's a coherent story. It's not two books merged into one. It's one book with two authors merging ideas to make one cohesive story. And that's a real. I've read collaborations, and a lot of times it's not a collaboration. It's a Patterson deal where James just puts his name on the cover, but the real author is in small print on the bottom. You know what I mean? And James kind of gives the idea, run with it. And you get the notoriety, you get the recognition because it's a James Patterson book, but the person who really wrote it is the smaller author print in the bottom. So just an aside, or just to keep aware of, if you're going to do a collaboration, make sure that you have a great relationship with that author. Unless, of course, Stephen King calls me and says, Orlando, let's do a collaboration. Or Neil Gaiman says, hey, you know what? Let's do a collaboration. Then I would be like, okay, I'm gonna let's do this. Let's jump into this. Oh yeah, like Good Omens. Good Omens is if you're gonna have an example of a collaboration that works really well, I would highly recommend Good Omens, because Gaiman and Pratchett, and Sir Terry Pratchett, it's hard to see where one begins and where one ends in that story, because they write it so well together. And this is why Gaiman is like the perfect successor to do the Good Omens 2, which is going to be a show on Amazon Prime, because first, they spent a lot of time together, and second, they really understood each other in terms of their writing. And you can see that in a book like Good Omens. So that would be, I wouldn't say that's the standard, but I would say that's a great example to read if you're going to collaborate with someone. It should sound like Good Omens. Not that particular genre, but that kind of seamlessness between the author voices, you know? And the series was fantastic. And Gaiman was the consultant on that series. So, it got the right treatment. So when we make Mountain Strong into a series, we'll make sure that it gets the same treatment as Good Omens did. Chris says, I spent all day yesterday driving my crossing. Those roads are crazy. Yeah, when I did Stormblood, when I was figuring out the roads from the forest to London, oh my God, because I had to get a map. I was doing Google Earth. It was like going through a labyrinth. It's like crazy. The way these roads they feed into another, but that you don't really see that the road has changed, but it's the same road, but now it has a different classification. It's insane. So I pity all of you in the UK who have to go through those roads daily. Jeanette says, the balancing act in romance is telling the intimacies without becoming pornographic. Yes, that is the key. That's what I'm going to try and do, because I have little ones that are going to read. I know that are going to read this book, and I don't want to have those conversations because of a book. If the intimacies don't add to the actual story, they should be removed. Yeah, and I think that's anything really. If you're going to include something in a story, and I've read this advice countless times, you're going to include anything in a story, it should further the story. Other than if it doesn't, it needs to be removed. It's just fluff. You don't want fluff in your writing. You want to have an element that's going to further the story. So whatever you include in the story should further the story. Again, this is my opinion. It's not fact, but it works better when Everything that's in the story is an essential element of the story and moves the story along. If it doesn't move the story, it's better to remove it, or else it gets kind of unwieldy and fluffy. And it's actually what it does is it slows the story down. And if you slow the story down enough, your reader will be like, you know what, I'm just gonna read something else because this is just too slow. You know? So, like Jeanette says, if it doesn't add to the actual story, remove it. And most authors will tell you the same thing. What does Tina say? R.J. Blaine does urban fantasy, contemporary romance, and more. Her series are different and funny. You have an open mind to read her. Warning, there are puns. Ooh, I don't know if I can handle puns, Tina. At this point, the mob is becoming pun central. So some of the puns are great. I saw this pun the other day. Was it yesterday, the day before? This one was excellent. Well, the one about soup was really good too. It was like soup. It was S-O-U up, S-O up, right? S-O-U-P, and then S-O down. And so that took me a moment to get. I was like, oh, that one was good. And that's a good example of elevating the puns. I saw another pun recently. This guy was standing. A picture of a man. Above him was a sign, and it said "pedestrian crossing ahead," and it had a symbol of a person walking. And it looked like the guy was walking on top of the guy's head. And I said, what the heck is this? What does it mean, pedestrian crossing ahead? Then I got, all my practice in the mob, it's a pedestrian crossing a head. And it was like, oh, that's a good one. So I've been getting pun practice in the mob. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. Puns make you think. It elevates makes you have to use your brain a little bit more. Yeah, Jules, I don't know if I could drive in the UK. The two times I went to London, the reason I didn't drive in the UK was because of what I call the backwards driving, right? The steering was on the opposite side. You got to drive on some strange side on the opposite side. I knew that was a recipe for me to have an accident. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to take the chance of crashing into some other car. I'm going to stay on, I'll take the bus, I'll take the tube. I'm not driving in the UK, So I'm gonna pass on driving. But Dolly has driven in the UK, so she's much braver than I am. Like I'm not driving in the UK, but she's driven in the UK. She said it was like doable. It wasn't that hard. So my hat's off to Dolly because I found it to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. I know me. Let's see what's this. An oldie but a goodie. Where do we buy food? At the soup. Yeah, see there goes. When we get to Peaches Count, we'll have to have a pun off. Yeah, let's have a pun off. And what I did with Noah once, spontaneous haiku battles. So this is a lot harder than it sounds. Like Noah and I did one a long time ago. I think actually it got put in one of the anthologies that Noah did. We had a spontaneous haiku battle in the group, in the mob, when he was a mod, right? And so he would, it was like he'd say haiku, I'd answer with a haiku, then he'd answer with another one. And this went on for like almost 50 haikus or 30-something haikus. So we should definitely do a pun off and a spontaneous haiku battle. I think that would be a lot of fun. Took you less than a day to get used to British driving. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try it the next time I head to London. I'll definitely try it. Somewhere out in a rural area where the chances of my colliding with someone else are much less. Jules says the roads are narrow. Yeah, see, that's one of the things I noticed when I walked around London. I walked around the Thames, I guess especially around the Thames. Some of the streets I thought they were alleys, and I realized no, because then I started seeing what you call lorries, I guess, or trucks. They were driving down these narrow streets and they had barely any clearance. And then I realized some of them were two-way. And that was like, whoa, you guys really need to, do some city planning here. But they can't change a lot of the streets because the city is so old that sections of London can't be affected by urban planning to the degree where you're going to uproot landmarks. Some of these places date back 1,000 years easily. I went to one place. There was this bar that was around in 10 something, like it was like the date was 10/11 or something. It was like an ancient bar right next to a brand new construction. So it's hard to kind of do that. Right, like Jim is saying, most of those streets predate cars. I think a lot of them is just like for horses, basically, not even carriages, horses, just horses. It's crazy. Yeah, horse and buggies, maybe, but I think mostly horses. It was really narrow. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to drive in this. This is just asking for an accident. Try the one-lane roads on the Isle of Skye, and the only traffic was sheep. Yeah, see, I'll take that. I don't mind sheep. They don't really move when you want them to move, but you know, I'd rather sheep than cars coming at me for sure. Okay. Oh wow, we almost have time for the questions. Let's see. Shia Terror, you guys are bad. See, this is what happens when you get surrounded, when you're so exposed to puns. It becomes a disease. Gladiator games of chicken, right? In Lima, I'm guessing Lima, Peru, there are roads that are very narrow and they go one way 3 days of the week and change the. Oh wow! So if you happen to get the wrong, like in your head, the wrong day, you're gonna end up meeting another car. That's interesting though that they change the flow of traffic. I guess that's one solution. Like if you want to go down the street, you can't do that here in New York. It's too congested with vehicles. And I'm guessing a place like London would be the same. In New York City, you cannot change the flow of traffic. That would definitely cause accidents, like immediately. It's okay. There are accidents when everything is clearly defined. Imagine if Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday we're going to go east, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday we're going west. It would be a nightmare. It would be a nightmare. All right, so let's get to some of the questions because it's early and there are a few questions that I want to address. So I'm not going to be able to see you guys. I'm not going to be able to see the feed because I have to switch screens, switch windows to get to the questions. But I will just talk amongst yourselves, as they say. I'll be right over to the next one. Let's see. All right, questions. Here we go. This is questions for MoB Kaffeeklatsch 87, which is today. Rebecca's first question, Rebecca Birovsek. I'm sorry if I mangled your name, Rebecca. So first of all, I want to thank everyone for submitting the questions. You guys are fantastic. Questions really help. And you get to, get kind of a little bit more detail into things. First question, when is the next book due out? The next book, the official book that's due next is Lost Ruins because it's Mountain Strong. But together with Mountain Strong, and that's due March, I want to say last week of March 28th, March 27th, around there. That's when that book will come out. It'll go to the art a week before, and then it comes out around the 27th, right? Lost Ruins comes out around then, but Nocturne Melody will probably be a week after, and then A Rose and a Cauldron of Thorn will be a week after that. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3. So the arts will have to get ready to do some major arting, major shredding. So it's going to be very sequential, boom, 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 like that. But Lost Ruins is the official book on the calendar. You see me looking up, so I'm looking at the calendar. Lost Ruins is on the calendar. The other books are not on the calendar, but I'm making sure they get out around the same time. Thank you, Rebecca. I hope that answered your question. Audrey asks, Orlando, how do you develop your plot and characters? Wow, that's a good one. That's an involved one. In many cases, it's a surprise ambush. Like when I was writing Sepia, and I got ambushed by Monty and Strong, and they came. It's hard to say. They came almost fully formed. Like Monty and Simon came ready. Like I knew I could tell their voices right away. I knew how they would each respond in any kind of situation. I already knew what their backstories were going to be. I knew that Monty was going to be English and Simon was going to be American. I knew that Monty was going to be a mage and that Simon was going to. It was like everything was kind of wrapped. And this is why sometimes I say, again, my opinion, ideas come to people. And if you don't pick up on that idea, you don't act on it, it goes to someone else. And that's just the way it is. I can't tell you that I sat there and I thought up Monty and Simon. Really, they just came to me in a moment, and I was really in the middle of Sepia, which is why I always say the best ideas come to you when you're in the middle of something else, which is why you should always be doing some writing or some creating, right? That's when you get your best ideas. If you listen to the idea, who was that wrote this? I'll see if I can find the quote. But the thing is, if the idea doesn't leave you alone, and if it burns in you and it takes over your brain and you're constantly thinking about it, that's an idea that needs to be pursued. So you write that one down, and if it keeps coming back to you and it keeps coming back to you, keep thinking about it. As soon as you finish whatever you're doing, get on that idea and get it out. But if you can write the idea down and then forget about it, you don't come back to it, then it's not really an idea that you want to pursue. That's just my kind of litmus test, right? So how do I develop the plot and characters? I don't develop the plot as much as I develop the characters. So the characters, for me, kind of propel the plot, because it's all about characters for me. So if you see it, if you read any of my stories, it's really about the characters and the situations that they get into, which would be, I guess, the plot. But the characters come first for me. If I don't have a good idea of what the characters are capable of, or what they do, or what they would do in any given situation, I can't write that story, because I need to know the characters first. So I get the character first, then I put them in situations that are horrible, and then they find a way to get out of them. So that's basically it. And then you see that happening constantly with Monty's time, which is funny, because I was telling Dolly this yesterday, I think, or today, that I got a review. It was a great review. I think it was like a 4 or 5 star review. But they were saying, these books are getting formulaic. And I'm like, yeah, most stories have some kind of formula to them. That's just the way storytelling is. I mean, most readers, let's say you pick up a detective story, there's a formula. You pick up a thriller, there's a formula. There are tweaks on the formula, but there is a core formula to how things are written, how stories are told. It's called the structure. And if you don't have that structure, you want to be experimental, you might get a readership, but you're going to hear a lot of people say, this is just too out there. Because people do read certain stories with an expectation. So yes, if you ever feel like your writing becomes formulaic, it's part of the structure. Just don't make it so formulaic that people can anticipate what's going to happen by the end. You got to have people guessing inside or having fun. Like this review, which I usually don't read reviews, but that one was fun. It's becoming a little formulaic, but I read them all because they're so much fun. The banter, the snark, the Peaches is out, the star of the show. Yes. So yeah, it's formulaic because story structure is very, you guys know, it's a 3-act structure or a 5-act structure. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's the way it works. And romance is happily ever after, things like. So there are structures or tropes, if you want to call them that. But within those parameters, within that framework, you've got to let your voice shine. So that's the most important thing. All right, Dolly has a question, but she's not here, so I'm proxy answering Dolly today. Dolly, thank you, Audrey, for this question. What do you think makes a good story? Dolly, any story written by Orlando. Boom. I'm going to wait until she answers that for real. All right, Orlando, what was the best money that you ever spent as a writer? Oh, wow, an app, a typewriter. Okay, so an app, I got Vellum as a writer, which helped me tremendously. The setup that I'm using now, shout out to John Logsdon, because he kind of said, okay, you've got to upgrade your setup. Because I was working on one laptop, he said, okay, this is what you got to do. You got to get this, get this, get this, get this, get this, and you get this, and it'll help you, just focus on your writing. So I got everything that was on the list, and I don't know if I ever told him that, but yes, it made a big difference. So that was the most that I spent as a writer, because that was it was a pricey list, put it that way. But the app that I'm glad that I got was Vellum, because Vellum made writing so easy. It's just, if you never use Vellum, there's a bit of a learning curve, and unfortunately, I don't know if it made it for Windows yet, but unfortunately, it's only on Mac. But if you're a writer and you want to really be able to write well in terms of writing your stories and get them out and get them into different file conversions and all that, all the kind of nuts and bolts, Vellum is the way to go. So that was the most money I've spent as a writer. And then marketing. Marketing is always cost intensive. There's a lot of money that goes into marketing. And cover designs and editing, all those are. So if you're going to be a writer, you have to understand that there's going to be costs, right? You cannot skimp on your cover. You cannot skimp on your editing. Those two are so important. They're essential. The marketing will come over time, and you're gonna have to invest in that. But what your cover and your editing, those two are non-negotiable. So if you, I know that a lot of authors who edit their own books, and that's great. But look, you guys, some of you shred. Even after the book goes through a shred and through an editor, I have found typos or mistakes or missed commas. So, and that's investing in it. So imagine what happens when you don't invest in it. If your eyes are the only eyes on your story, you're going to miss things. So, cover, editing, marketing. Those are probably the best money you're ever going to spend as a writer. Because I designed the first cover for the Spiritual Warriors. I still have collector's editions. The cover is cute and it's nice, but it doesn't tell the story. And that was changed over time. Okay, thank you, Audrey. Those are great questions. Chris is asking, how goes the semi not so secret project, and is it blushable yet? It's had blushing moments, mostly because I cringe when I write these blushing moments. But according to my in-house romance reader, Dolly, I'm doing it okay so far. So it's going well, and it's right now it's more urban fantasy than blushable romance, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Jules has a great question. So this is something that I was alluding to earlier about 20 books to 50K speaking to Amazon. I'm going to read this out because it's important. It's a little long, but it's important. I recently got an email, a message from Amazon saying that another author was claiming copyright infringement. My book was taken down and my account frozen. I was devastated. Here I was making over $1,600 a month with my book consistently for the past 6 months, and now I was being sued. So I got a lawyer, created a response to prove the claim was absolutely false. In the end, Amazon restored my KDP account. All right, I'm gonna close it there because it's pretty much a lot of that. But Jules is asking, so how real is this? Is this a legit concern? Do you really have to start your own publishing company in order to protect yourself and your assets and such? So it's a good idea as an independent author to have your own corporation or LLC, because this is a real thing. Okay, if you want some first-hand knowledge on this, this recently happened to Noah Sturdivant from our group, from the MoB. He recently had his account messed with by Amazon. And if you dig enough, you'll find this horror story has happened to a lot of authors, some not known, some very known. It's because a lot of this stuff is automated. And so independent books get pirated all the time. And if you're in KU, Amazon will, the bots or the automation or the algorithmic, whatever, will flag your book if you're in KU because it's supposed to be exclusive, and it picks up your book somewhere else because it's been pirated. And many times, or at least most of the time, it's been pirated without your knowledge. So by the time Amazon gets to you and they blindside you with, hey, we're going to have to freeze your account or suspend your account or close your account, you don't know anything about what they're talking about because it's like, huh? Because your book has been pirated, it's been somewhere else, and now Amazon has come after you. So part of what's happening now within the author community, in addition to what's happening with Audible, is authors are addressing this situation with Amazon because you're talking about authors' livelihoods. And you know, if you suspend their account, all of a sudden all royalties are gone. You know, and they remove your books, and it's a nightmare, and it's hard to get back. And you got to fight with Amazon, and you got to, you know, speak to people. You got to pursue them. You got to be on top of them. And it's tough, and it's also every author's worst nightmare. So, a lot of authors combat this by going wide, so they don't put all their eggs in Amazon's basket. That's one way to do it. A lot of authors do selling directly from their own website with Shopify. So that's another option, a way to get around this. The problem is that Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And so it's one of the biggest bookstores in the world. And to not have your books there means that you're limiting the eyes on your books. Also, the way to combat that, if you're going wide, is you put yourself on every bookstore, like Kobo and Drafted Digital and Smashwords and Barnes & Noble. And it's a lot of work, but it's one way that you can be kind of secure in the knowledge that that's never going to happen to you because you have your books wide. It all depends on your level of risk aversion. Going all in with Amazon, there are benefits, there are pros and cons. So you have to really be conscious of what you're doing as an author. It's always a good policy to have your own publishing company. Once you get to a certain level in sales and you get out there, because eventually you have to pay taxes on all that stuff, right? Now, I'm not giving you any of this advice. I'm not a tax consultant. I'm not a lawyer. But do your due diligence as an author. Don't just think I'm just going to write and everything else will take care of itself. You've got to look at the business of writing as well as just the writing. You know, it's a lot more involved. When you start out as an author, you think, I'm just going to write stories. No, you just got to write the stories. Then you've got to, set up a bank account so you can get paid for your stories. Then you've got to pay your taxes on the money that you get for writing your stories. And you've got to market your books so that people can see your stories and buy the stories. There's a lot that's involved. You got to make sure you cover the design properly. You got to make sure your books are edited properly. There's a lot that goes into it. And, it's more than most authors expect at the beginning, which is why they get kind of blindsided and they get kind of overwhelmed by it. It's so much. This is really hard work. Why can't I just write a story? Because it's not just writing a story. It's also, there's a business aspect to it as well. So I hope that answers your question, Jules. I'm coming back to the StreamYard room in a moment. I'm just going to take out these other questions real quick. Marie says, does Amazon take any action against the author who falsely accused you? Hard to prove and hard to locate. From my experience and what I've heard, it's very difficult. It's even hard to get negative reviews removed, much less finding a pirate who's taking your book and put it up against your wishes. So it's right now it seems very, very skewed against authors. So can you recover any of your costs? Unlikely. So does Amazon have some legal responsibility to protect authors from such false allegations? The problem is that it's such a big company that this aspect of Amazon and authors is rarely dealt with by humans. There are people who will deal with it, but a lot of it is automated, and that's where the problems are coming from. So hopefully the authors who are going to speak to Amazon, and there are many who are doing this now, not just 20 Books of 50K. There are other groups that are kind of gathering signatures, gathering petitions, and asking for meetings with the Amazon staff that can kind of address this, because it does need to be addressed. Okay, going back. Got a little bit of time. Let's see what's happening. Okay. All right. I missed a lot of what you guys said. Let's see. Okay. Multiple screens, computers. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting another screen. This program allows me to go from, I actually have multiple screens. I just have to slide from side to side. And I have a whole different window with a whole bunch of screens. But I think at some point I'm going to need a dual where I can have two screens open at once. Like two screens available at once. The chat is where it's at, that's for sure. Hello, Tracy. We're traveling to consider being on. Okay, you guys are still funny. Let's see. Legging it, yeah. Am I a plotter or a pantser? Oh, okay. I'm kind of a hybrid. So I'll write the outline. I have my outline book. Let's see if I can get to it real quick. I have my outline, right, which I keep handy all the time. It's right in front of me. And every so often I'll check it for references or something that I might have not put in the story yet. So I'll have that. And then a lot of it is it comes to me as I'm writing it too. So it's kind of a combination, kind of a hybrid of both. But I don't start a story without an outline, because the outline allows me to go off the reservation and have a map back. So it's a bit of a combination of both. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Character-centric for the win. Yes, character-centric for the win. It's what readers, listen, if you think of all the stories that have stood the test of time, it hasn't been the plots. It's been the characters. I'll give you the one that you guys know me for the most. Batman. Batman's like 80 years old. It's not because of all his cases and all the villains like the Joker have also stood the test of time. It's the characters. The characters are what stand out in readers' mind or in viewers' minds. It's the characters. Yes, your ideas from 2008 are showing up now because if they're really important, they won't leave you alone. You will not sleep, you will not eat, you won't be able to think about other things because the idea wants to be shared. Oh, John says my stories have the formula of caffeine. It's probably because I drink so much Death Wish, John, while I'm writing them. Jeanette says there are a lot of many unanswered questions. So yes, Jeanette, there are many. A Facebook user said Vellum rules. I totally agree. Vellum does rule. It's awesome. Oh, for Windows Atticus. I've heard of it. This is the one that's created by, I think, Dave Chesson, I think, created Atticus, if I'm not mistaken. But I hear it's good. I hear it's like Vellum, yeah, for PC. So it's really good. So when I get the story out of my head, I admit DDD would be where I go. Yes, I wholeheartedly recommend the Range Doctor Design for your covers because, one, they're professional. They do a great job. If you look at any of my Mounting Strong covers, actually, any cover that's not a Night Warden cover, so that's out of all the covers, it's 2. And all my covers have been done by the Range Doctor Design. They're professional. They know what they're doing. They're fast. If you can get on their list, because sometimes they have a long waiting list, 6 months, sometimes 3 months, 6 months, depends. But yeah, they are amazing. Any decent AI editors yet? Not yet. I think it's going to be a long time before that happens. So copyright your work, not just to send to yourself and say, oh, you have to copyright it through a copyright office. It won't stop Zion from flagging you, but it'll at least give you the edge to prove you're the real owner. Yes, the pirates can copyright your work if you don't. Make sure I have Peaches copyrighted, Mounting Strong copyrighted, anything that pertains to the IP, copywritten, because they can be copywritten right out under your nose. So make sure everything that you write about, you can't copyright titles. There's certain things you cannot copyright. Characters you can copyright, but certain things cannot be copywritten. It's the author version of swatting, basically, yeah. If you don't know what swatting is, it's a gamer term where if you're playing video games and you've angered someone else and the person's like a troll, they can call law enforcement and say, hey, I heard that there's someone firing a gun at this address, or there's someone being held against their will at this address, and the law enforcement sends SWAT teams. So that's why it's called swatting. And it's dangerous because they're going in loaded for bear. They're going in thinking this is a hostage situation, where it's really just somebody angry at someone else, and it's kind of like set law enforcement on them. It's dangerous, it's dumb, and I don't recommend it, but that's what happens in a lot of gaming communities. It's toxic, you know. You're welcome for the rundown, Jeanette. So what would be the best way to start out going with an established publisher? The best way to start is to finish a story, get it edited, get a cover. I don't know, I went with established publishers many times. I went with Dell, with Tor. I had a lot of rejection letters because I didn't know how to really write yet. So for your first book, I would say get it really polished, get it edited, get a great cover on it, and then start. If you really want to go that route of traditional publishing, you've got to learn how to query, you've got to learn how to write a synopsis, you've got to do all of that, and then you've got to start going after the publishers. You got to submit all of that to real publishers. That's the one way to do it if you want to do trad. You got to do your homework on how to submit, and each publisher has a specific set of rules of how they want work submitted to them. So you've got to follow their guidelines as well. So I would say the best way to start out is to learn how each publisher wants the work submitted, and then write the best product, the best story you can, get it edited, get a professional cover on it, and then start submitting. The cover may not be needed because each publishing house likes to do their own covers, but the editing is definitely needed. Even though they may have an editor, get it edited anyway. Federica, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I don't have an iPad to use as a monitor. It's too small. If you see my monitor is enormous. So if I'm gonna get another monitor, I'd need a bigger desk because then I'd have to have it like, like a V. So yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can catch up with the feed. I used to have 3 32-inch screens and then 2 laptops. Yeah, I can definitely see that. If my ideal dream work loadout what was that movie that Hugh Jackman was? Swordfish. If you saw the computer setup Hugh Jackman had in Swordfish, it was 9 monitors, I believe. That's my ideal setup. So that's what I would want. Do I use Scrivener or Plotters? No, I used to use Scrivener. There's a heavy, it's a steep learning curve for Scrivener. I got really good at it, but it's a steep learning curve. But I use Vellum exclusively now. I use Vellum. So yeah. How can you keep track? Keep track of what? Oh, wow, I have trouble with one laptop. I have a lot of windows and my brain is slightly deranged, John. So it's easier. Oh, you were doing audio video work. Yeah, that's why you need all those screens. I can see that. Dave Chesson, yeah, created Atticus. And I hear, haven't used it. So take that as it is. That is really good, and it's as good as, it's a Vellum for PC. Although there is a Vellum for PC, but I think you have to mirror the computer or something. It's complicated. Let's see. Yeah, so now you got your betas on it. Your readers are doing it. They're reading it, and they're going to tear it apart. Then you get it to where you think it's as polished as it could be. Now, if you really want to submit it to traditional outlets, right, you have to start seeing what the submission guidelines are to each outlet. So, all right. Happy V-Day to the Facebook user that's leaving. Bye. Have a great day and weekend. You have to find a pic and post in group. Okay. I'm up to 2 27-inch screens plus my laptop for work. I'm thinking of adding more. Once you get used to it, it's hard to go back to one screen. It's very hard to go back to one screen. The only reason I'm using one screen now is because this one screen can be infinite number of screens with the touch of a button. I can have an infinite number of windows open all at once, and I don't need an additional screen. It just slides from screen to screen, from window to window, and it's enormous. So it's really great. So that's the only reason I don't have 2 huge screens. But I'm thinking maybe eventually I might have to, if I'm going to be writing 2 books at once, or 3 books at once, which is crazy. All right, so wow. So our next MoB is going to be the 17th, I want to say. Let me check real quick. Let me look at the calendar. No, sorry, the 24th. Next MoB is the 24th, which is at the end of the month. Geez, February's almost done. So the 24th will be our next MoB TV, our next MoB Kaffeeklatsch. And yeah, having that many, like 6 at one point, because you constantly, if you're doing this, and let's say you're facing one, that's another reason why I only have one. But constantly having to be like this, or be like this, or be like that, it's going to wreak havoc on your neck and your back. So you got to get up and kind of do stretching exercises and things like that on a regular basis. All right, guys, look, we're wrapping it up. Wow, man, it goes by so fast. It's like, I really enjoy spending time with you guys, but it goes by so quick. I want you guys to have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being here today. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I'm not doing a standing desk. I do enough walking. I try to walk 2 to 4 miles a day. When I sit, I'm going to sit. And then I also swing kettlebells, so no standing desk for me. Thanks. You guys are amazing. You guys are cool. Thank you so much for being here. And this is why I have a rolling chair. That too. And I'm always in awe of you guys being here, hanging out. I always wish that we could have a dedicated place that we can all meet up, be together at the same place, Peaches Con, where we can just hang out and talk books and talk characters and talk stories and talk what ifs and things like that. And it will happen. So, that's when we get to Peaches Con, we'll do that. And I'm gonna make sure that we have a really big space somewhere in the middle where Peaches can hang out. We'll have a real Peaches there. And then we can just hang out and talk and chill out and, have conversations and drink a lot of coffee. And we'll be the most wired group of the whole Peaches Con. And so, guys, we're going to end it. Have a great day. Have an awesome weekend. I'm going to go back to the writing cave very soon. I've thought of a Discord channel. I don't know. I got to look into it, Jules, because that would be fun. That would be fun because it's kind of like a virtual place to hang out, virtual hangout. I want to wish you guys all a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. I know we've passed already all the pandemic stuff, but it's still out there, so try to be careful as much as you can, And above all, guys, I want you to be uncommon. Take care, guys. Bye.